All right. So welcome everyone. Happy holidays. And thank you for being on our final all team call for 2023. We have a lot to celebrate, a lot to be thankful for. We have a great agenda today. So I'm going to run us through briefly the agenda. We're going to start out, of course, with a client story. I'm sorry, pause. Y'all, my name is Kyle. For those of y'all who have not met me, Kyle Carson, I am the Chief People Officer. We have a lot of new team members on this call today, which is really exciting. So I would ask for all the presenters, if when you introduce yourself, please let us know your full name and your position at SBP, just so we can kind of get all the new folks educated on who we all are. So that would be great. So Kyle and Chief People Officer, Head of HR. Today, we are going to start out with a client story from Monica on the DAP team. Liz is going to give us some updates on our scorecard to see how we did in 2023. Then Zach and Liz are going to talk us through the strategy update and a forecast for our goals for 2024. Thomas and executive directors are going to lead some build team highlights, talk about some sunsets, forecast some information, and celebrate our build team. Department spotlights, recent wins and updates. So the development team, Elizabeth and Lily, Salesforce. Brittany is going to speak about Salesforce updates and some of our tech stuff. And then Elizabeth Wright and Jennifer are going to talk about communications. Then we'll talk a little bit about our AmeriCorps Ambassador Program, new staff and new AmeriCorps welcomes. I have a couple HR updates, some reminders, and then we're going to talk a little bit about an IT project that we're working on. And then we'll end the meeting with shout outs. Sound like a plan? Fantastic. Without further ado, I would like to invite Monica to run us through a client story. Monica, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Monica. I am an Associate Disaster Assistance Associate here in Puerto Rico, working with the DAP team. And I'm really happy and excited to start off this meeting with a feel-good story and a reminder of what we do and starting grounding us in our purpose. So I want to talk to you about Corbett Mullins. This case we've been dealing with a while since Claire went to Kentucky to first assess the impact of the disaster over there, the floods. And Claire first met Corbett Mullins' son-in-law, who had been affected since July 2022 by the floods, and they needed help filing an appeal. Initially, Kaya, which used to be a team member with us, filed an appeal. And at that time, we had used one of our local contractors. But when FEMA called to verify with that contractor, they initially denied Corbett Mullins because they said that the contractor was not able to answer and verify, which was actually incorrect because it was that FEMA couldn't reach out to the contractor. And they were denied this appeal, right? And when we found out that this person was denied, we then strategized about it and decided to use that local contractor's estimate for Paul to create a new estimate. And since we love Paul and we knew that he would be on it, ready to receive that FEMA call, we went with Paul, and Paul drafted a new estimate, and then I drafted the new appeal. I looked at the older appeal too to see how it could be better written. And I actually detailed that appeal so that it would be easier for the FEMA agent, and there was no excuse not to give Mr. Mullins the assistance that he needed. And after we filed that appeal, 3 days later, FEMA called Paul. Paul verified, and then we got some pretty exciting news from Corbett's daughter, who sent us an email saying that she wants to thank us for perseverance in her parents' appeal because they got a deposit in their checking account this morning. It was a deposit of $12,345.61, and they are so happy. So this was a great example of not only us steering through turbulence, but also strategizing and yogoten with different strategies that we use from different disasters to see what will be better for this survivor and getting them that assistance. So that's Corbett's story.
Fantastic. Awesome, Monica and team. Thank you so much. All right, next up, Liz, I would love to invite you to speak about our 2023 goal progress, please.
Thanks, Kyle, and thanks, Monica. Really appreciate the inspiring story to kick us off. My name is Liz McCartney. For those of you I haven't met, I'm the COO and one of the co-founders at SBP. And what you're looking at here is our scorecard. It shows what our goals are for 2023 and the incredible progress that the team has made so far this year. These are results through the end of roughly November. We've captured most, but probably not exactly everything. And as you can see, we have made a ton of progress. At SBP, when we look at goals this way, we talk about, are we on track? Or in some cases, maybe we're ahead, in others we're behind. And you can see on this page that there is a lot of yellow, which means on track, and a lot of green, which again means that we're ahead. It's really been an incredibly inspiring year to be a part of SBP. There's a lot of good news coming out of the organization, and you're going to have an opportunity in just a couple of minutes to really get in the details and learn a little bit more about the amazing work that this team has done over the last year. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to highlight just a couple of things and give a couple of shout outs. And hopefully I won't get too distracted here and want to shout out everybody, because there is just been so much incredible work. First and foremost, I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone involved in the BUILD program. So folks working at operating sites, AmeriCorps members serving at operating sites, and all of the everybody that's connected to the great work that our volunteers have done this year. There have been many, many bright spots, and I just am so impressed by and deeply grateful for the work that you all are doing with families in communities, in some cases, many, many years after a disaster, to help those who most likely felt very forgotten to be able to get back home and spend the holidays at home this year. So big shout out to the BUILD team. I'd like to say congrats and thanks to Tessa and Helen, who have done both a tremendous job internally at SBP, getting all of us to talk more about preparedness, and really starting to build a big network of NGOs and companies, community-based organizations, faith-based leaders who want to learn more about preparedness. And as you can see, they did a lot of outreach, both in terms of digital outreach, social media, educating people who attended classes that they did, and they are ahead of their target. So really great work there. Boy, has the Advise and the Advocate team been busy this year. Just want to highlight that we are really proud of the One App bill, which it was designed to help simplify the process for people who are trying to access assistance after a disaster. We have witnessed ourselves how incredibly challenging it is for people who have been impacted by disasters and don't have enough financial resources to recover, to access supports and services that are out there. So we're really thrilled that SBP was involved in getting this bill passed. Also, just huge shout out to the team that is training all of our government leaders and advisors and partners. You know, that is work that for many of us, we don't really see day in and day out. And it's kind of at times hard to imagine the impact that JR and that team are having, but they're helping to take hundreds of millions of dollars that these government leaders are now responsible for disseminating in their communities and helping them figure out how to do it faster and more effectively. So just great work to that team. And then I also want to just say thank you to our shared services team, from folks who are responsible. Brittany, I'm talking to you, for all of the great work with Salesforce. There have been a lot of bumps in the road, but just so appreciate your steady leadership there. and willingness to work with leaders. To development, there might be a little special surprise coming in a few slides from the development team. Really nice work to that group. So excited that our comms team is now bigger than just Jennifer Beaver, who's done really a remarkable job this year, and now includes both Elizabeth Wright and Declan. And welcome, Declan, to HR and finance. It's just really a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. And more importantly, to see the incredible impact that we're having on clients and communities across the United States and in the Caribbean. So with that, Kyle, I promise I'm going to stop talking now and kick it back to you so that we can really get into the details.
All right, great update. Thank you so much, Liz. Zach, I believe you are up on our strategic plan update and 2024 goals forecast.
Hey folks, my name, for those of you who I don't know, my name is Zach and I'm one of the SBP co-founders. And for those of you who I don't know, I really look forward to getting to know you and thank you for investing into SBP so deeply and generously. Both the clients who we're directly impacting, like who are recipients of your direct work, and those who are going to benefit from a system that works better, from a system that stands on the shoulders of the people who had to endure more than they should have. Thank you for investing in those clients as well. For the next 4 slides, Liz and I are just going to walk through some work we've been doing on the strategic plan that runs through 2026. First of all, I kind of want to ground everyone into the evolution of SBP and the theory of change in the plan. For a while, SBP was a doing group. We rebuilt houses, starting in New Orleans, we moved to Joplin, then New York and New Jersey. And we got really good at doing that one thing, rebuilding houses for people. But we came to realize about 9 years in that the model wasn't right. It was, in reality, unscalable. We could never get to everyone. And by its nature, it was reactive. We waited until bad things happened until we were able to help people. And we could never again get to scale. And we realized that was inconsistent with what our values are. The most important value at SBP is what we call the mom rule. And we got to go about our work the way we'd want it to be done if it impacted our own loved ones and our mothers or those people who we love. And so we realized we couldn't just do one thing. We needed to intervene in advance, ideally to prevent people from needing our help and anyone's help in the first place. That's why we rolled out these 5 interventions. As we've been doing those 5 interventions for a while, even though it's, sorry about that, phone call coming in at some point, I'll realize how to stop that. We realized that even though we're kind of a smaller little group and everyone is wicked committed, we were siloed and the various interventions weren't supporting each other. They were operating independently. And maybe you'll hear it from we're focusing on too many things at once. And so before we get into the strategic plan, I kind of want to walk you into the evolution of how we're now thinking about the work. The doing work, I can't be clear enough. The direct client work, the rebuilding work, the FEMA appeals work, anything that directly touches clients is essential. We're going to keep doing it. There's a cyclical nature to some of it. Some years there's more disasters that kind of have a longer tail than others. Remember, we want fewer disasters. We want fewer people to need our services, and we want there to be a less demand for our work. But the doing work is always going to be part of our work. That doing work, however, puts us in direct proximity with people for whom the system isn't working. And because of the way that people on our team who are doing the doing work, we see what's not working. We see the challenges with the system. We see precisely what's harming our clients. That doing work informs, it drives, and we think it morally requires our scaled impact work. In other words, getting to more people. And at the, sorry about that. And at the end of the day, the system changed. So first of all, we want to get to scale and helping people. But if we care the most, we really want to change the system. So we're doing, and other groups are doing, less fixing work and problem solving work in the first place. And so I just wanted to tie that to the values for you. The mom rule, we go about our work the way we'd want it done for any of our loved ones. The curious connectors, that means we're open to solving new things. We're taking what we're seeing and the pain points of our clients, and we're connecting dots that weren't there before, either with other organizations or solutions that haven't existed. There are so many examples of this. I'm staring at Andy's Stofflet, not staring, but Andy's front and center. And I think of some of the curious connecting work he did with, he saw that in the Bahamas, we couldn't import cabinets. So Andy curiously connected and came up with a model to build PVC cabinets in a way that created jobs. And we're now scaling that through the US. So we do the work, we see what's not working, we curiously connect. And then when we change the system, we got to realize some of it's that the ideas weren't there before. Other times it's because folks didn't steer through the turbulence. You know, if we're going to do things new, some of it is follow through. Some of it's dealing with the bumps, right? To get that plane to the higher velocity where things are going less fuel, faster, more efficiently to get where you have to go, there's going to be some bumps. We got to steer through the turbulence, through those bumps, from the external bumps, sometimes from the internal bumps, and from the fact that if we're going to disrupt the system, there's people for whom the system doesn't work. And frankly, there's people for whom it does. And those folks are going to push back. Some of us were in DC recently, and we heard a reverend talk about, in essence, he made the point that don't think the system isn't working. He made the point that indeed it's working. It's working very well for the people who are benefiting. So I guess the point I want to make is sometimes those bumps that we're going to face from external and other factors are because we're on the right path and we can't give up. And changing the system is indeed what we have to do. And when we look at some of those goals, you'll see why that's required. So I'll now pass it to Liz. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks for going to the next slide, Kyle. So we engaged with an outside organization called Bridgespan. They are a nonprofit consulting group. They are highly respected in the field, so we felt very fortunate to be able to work with them for an extended period of time. We also, in addition to me and Zach, had a steering committee that worked with us and Bridgespan, sort of figure out how do we take the strategic plan that we had developed and do some tweaks and adjustments so that it just felt a lot more actionable and a lot easier to explain, both internally and externally. And they also helped us see things in a slightly different way. And through them, I think we created this, or they created with us, this really interesting chart. And I want to go just a little bit deeper on what Zach talked about. And so you can see at the top of the chart, they really helped us recognize that our direct service work with clients is what is driving and helping us figure out our scaled impact and systems change work. And so again, direct service for us at SBP means the really important work that we're doing, rebuilding homes for homeowners. It's the critical work around doing preparedness in communities that are high risk, high need, or even communities that have recently been impacted, just as a reminder of, you learned some really important lessons in this disaster. Let's make sure you're really better prepared for the next time one comes around. To helping clients secure additional funding, like the client that Monica described at the beginning of the meeting. These are all examples of the really important direct service work that SBP is doing in communities directly with survivors. And what we're learning, and what you all, I'm sure, have learned and heard, is that it is a really challenging path home for a lot of people. And as an organization, we can either take those stories and hold on to them, or we can take those stories, share them, learn from them, and try and come up with solutions to the problems that the very people we interact with day in and day out face. And so when we talk about direct service, sort of generating innovations and helping us think about lessons learned to scale our impact, it is the work that many of us are doing day in and day out that's connecting our direct service work to our scaled impact work. And so when we talk about scaled impact, what we're talking about is the great work of the SHARE team, Angela and Mackenzie, who are taking money that SBP has raised and awarding it to other NGOs, NGOs who don't have the same incredible development team that SBP does, who don't have the same very skilled Marcoms team that SBP does, or who maybe are newer, or they've never done rebuilding before, and they need some guidance from SMEs. Or maybe they are really hungry for AmeriCorps members, but they don't have the capacity to run the program like the AmeriCorps team leadership does at SBP. And so in addition, some other examples of scaled impact are the really great work that JR and team are doing to train government leaders, or the work that the team is doing to advise community foundations and others in the funding space on how to really think about making investments before and after disaster that are going to move the needle in meaningful ways in community. And then from all of that work, what we're able to do is think about what are the big changes that need to be made at the state and federal level around policies that are going to significantly improve the experience of people who are moving through the disaster cycle. So a great example of that is the One App bill, and recognizing that as people are applying to FEMA and SBA and CDBG-DR funded programs, it's complicated. It's super complicated and it's really frustrating. And so trying to find approaches that really simplify it and make it easier for people to move through those programs, and also just make the whole system work better. And so that's, I think, some great examples of systems change. And at the end of all this, our goal and our mission is still the same. We want to shrink the time between disaster and recovery, and we want to prevent people from reaching their breaking point. You know, disasters are uniquely challenging. Often they come with little to no warning and can really rock people's foundation to the core. And I'm just so grateful that through this exercise or engagement with Bridgespan, they really helped us tell our story a little bit differently and hopefully more effectively. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to Zach, and he's going to walk us through the next slide.
I think this one's yours, Liz. Sorry, I'm 8, you're 7.
Oh, no problem. No problem. All right. So when we think about our 3 buckets that we put our programs into, there are kind of 3 words that jump off the page here: steady state, big bets, learning agenda, right? And what I'm referring to here are a lot of the programs that are working directly in communities and with clients. And what Bridgespan helped us really realize, although I think we all knew it all along, is that we've got to do some prioritizing. We've got to do some prioritizing and figure out how do we decide what type of investment different programs are going to get. And so this part's a little bit tricky, so I want to make sure I'm being careful with my language. And if I'm not, Zach, please feel free to hop in and correct me here. But the first bucket is steady state. We're going to continue to grow these programs as planned. The country was very fortunate this year. We had limited number of disasters, but we know that building is really essential. There is a time in the future where we hope to work ourselves out of a job, and we hope that rebuilding services won't be needed or required, whether it's by SBP or other NGOs, but we're not there yet. And so we want to continue to provide rebuilding services to communities that have been impacted by disaster, and we will. We also want to continue to advocate for programs and policies that are really going to change the system. We will continue to do that. But we also have some big bets, and we think that these big bets, when we execute on them well, have the potential to move the needle pretty significantly. So many of you have heard of the Recovery Acceleration Fund, or RAF, and it is a funding mechanism that allows us to build homes for people in disaster impacted communities. The big difference is, and sorry if this is an incredible oversimplification, Reese, the big difference is that instead of using philanthropic funds to rebuild homes, we are using a blend of philanthropic funds and funds from banks to rebuild homes. And then that fund is getting reimbursed by the local CDBG DR funding. And so really what it allows us to do is recycle money over and over and over again and stretch it to serve a lot more people. So in Louisiana in 2023, Kenneth and Steve Doolin and that team executed really well on RAF. In 2024, we are going full force in Florida. The team has been working and making some great progress already, but we're going to grow that program significantly in Florida and then continue to find more and more states who will benefit from having a RAF. And the RAF, for those of you who are new, significantly shrinks the time between disaster and recovery for homeowners. And for us, that is really mission critical and super important. Our second big bet is the disaster assistance program that you heard a little bit about from Monica before. This is an opportunity to help people appeal their FEMA awards and put more money in their pockets. The average FEMA award these days is less than $3,000. Less than 4% of people who receive a FEMA award appeal the decision. And we know that when we work in partnership with survivors and re-appeal the decision, people get more money. Across the board, they get more money. And so we're really excited about this big bet. And we think that the data set that we're gathering from our DAP clients is going to be really powerful and position us to go to FEMA and provide some guidance on how some of their programs can be changed and improved. And then the last big bet is, thanks, Andrea, is around advise and making sure that all of the federal money that is going to state and local governments for adaptation or these resilience or mitigation projects is being awarded in communities that would otherwise be looked over. I don't know how else to put it, and I'll give you a great example. So some of you know Matthew Wheeler. He's a fellow in Lake Charles, Louisiana. He worked with his local jurisdiction to secure a very large grant that includes a lot of adaptation and mitigation measures to build affordable housing in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We have other folks on our team, the Small But Mighty Fellows team, Sarah in Eastern Kentucky and Elizabeth in Southern Louisiana, who are doing similar work. They are working with their communities and with the Advise team to access federal dollars that would be really hard for those communities to access otherwise. They just don't have the capacity. They don't have the technical expertise that folks on the SBP team have. And so they are working diligently to bring in federal money that has become available and support mitigation projects that at the community level will prevent significant disasters in the future. And Elizabeth Egley, I hope you don't mind I'm announcing this, the development team just secured today a $2 million grant to help us expand that program into other jurisdictions. So we're thrilled about that. And then the last bucket of programs is learning agenda programs. These are programs you guys are very familiar with, Share and Prepare. They're going to continue to do their really important work and really think about between now and 2026, what is the foundation that they need to lay in order for those programs in 26 and beyond to be even more impactful? Like, what are they learning? What are they hearing? And how can we position those programs and those program leaders to have an even broader and more significant impact in the work that they're doing? So you'll see in Share, we're talking about doing field building and building a coalition of NGOs who, like SBP, want to see better outcomes for the communities that they serve. In Prepare, like we want to see, and many others do, insurance products that people can actually afford and that are preventing them from needing a lot of the government funded services in the first place. And so just really excited that we, with support from Bridgespan, have figured out, like, we've got these 3 program buckets. They're all really important. Please don't hear me say none of these are important, but just sort of bucketing them in a way that allows us to talk about them in terms of their growth trajectory and sort of where we want everybody to be by 2026. So I'm gonna pause there and kick it back to Zach.
Thank you, Liz. And I'm going to move quick because I know we're a hair behind schedule and I want you to hear from everyone else. These are the outcomes that we seek to jointly drive by the end of the 5-year plan. And these are big deals. It's not going to happen if we're working in silos. It's not going to happen if we look the way that we look now. It's not going to happen if we're doing things precisely the way that we're doing things now. Although I will share this with you, when we had a meeting with a advisory group of the board and some people working on the strategic plan, we're right on schedule. But the last miles and the second half of the ball game are going to be the hard ones. But this should give you massive, massive, massive pride on the 3 levels of driving real work for real people, right? Getting to scale through partnerships, and then changing a system, because that's what really matters. If we're embracing the mom rule, we don't want SBP or any other groups to have to make things less worse or fix things after people already suffer. Because as you know from the work you're doing, people after disaster are at risk of being pushed beyond their breaking point. And for too many people, they're never the same again. Before we wrap up here, I want to share, thankfully, with the work of Elizabeth Wright, Nanya, and other folks, we're gonna go deep with folks in January, beginning of February, around the strategic plan. We're going to do learning around it with you in small groups so that you understand it. You can talk about it, not from the top down, but we'll make it yours. And so again, we'll be working on really rolling it out with you in smaller groups so that you're able to fully understand it, ask any questions, understand what it means for you, and understand what it means and it's going to require for the organization to do moving forward. But again, 2023 is the year we should be proud of. We are on track for this super important strategic plan, and all of you are important to our ability to get there. So with that, I'll pass it back to Kyle, and I thank everyone very, very, very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Zach. All right, next up, I would like to invite, Thomas, were you going to kick this off, or I think you were going to kick this off and then executive directors. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's great, Kyle. Thanks. Hey, folks. Thomas, I am SVP's Chief Recovery Officer. Nice to be with you. I thought I would just do a little bit of framing, and then I want to get out of the way so that y'all can hear from Build leaders. And I want to share a couple of things that I've just been reflecting on over the last couple of weeks as we're coming in for a close in 2023. And I want to hopefully phrase it in a way that's relatable. It's not specific to Build, but we're in this season of change within Build. We've seen Southwest Louisiana sunset. And as we approach Q1 of 2024, we will also see the sunset of our Bahamas program, led by Andy, with support from Cam and Dara, as well as our Houston program. In the same moment that we're experiencing these sunsets, we're also experiencing growth within Build. You've heard Liz and Zach talk a bit about the RAF program and the mobilization that is occurring in Florida. We're seeing some amazing progress there. And then in addition, we're going to hear from Pamela, who's led our Shark program with her team. That's a minor repair program in Florida. We've also added Juliet to lead Build's disaster response function. So while we're in this moment of sunsetting of programs, we're also establishing new programs and building out programs, and therefore we're kind of in this season of change. And while we're in the midst of this change, which again isn't unique to Build, I think each one of us are showing up for the greater good of our programs, and we're carrying ourselves through this turbulence and facing a whole bunch of uncertainty. And I want to point out that we're doing that. We're like facing that uncertainty while also navigating our own life journeys, like all of the hiccups and the uncertainties and the challenges and the beauties that life brings. And I think sometimes we just need to acknowledge that, because we're all quietly working through our own questions and uncertainties and challenges, while also showing up for a cause that demands our full selves. Like, I remember one of my early jobs in high school was delivering pizza, and it was very simple. It was like ingest nicotine, caffeine, deliver pizza, like call it a success. And there was space within that, like driving around and listening to music where it could like meditate. What we're choosing to do day in and day out at every level of the organization is work through our life while supporting this cause, while giving our full selves to something that's greater than any one of us. And I guess what I'm saying is that I really could not be more proud of what Build has accomplished. And I know that it's only because of the people that we have here at SBP and our joint loyalty to this belief that as individuals and as a sum of all of its parts, like we can make a difference. And so with that, let me step aside, create some space here, Kenneth, to lead us through program updates in New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana, and then we'll hear from a few more leaders on Build Impact. So Kenneth.
Thanks, Thomas. Kenneth Morgan, Executive Director, New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana. Really quickly, super excited about the year we've had. We've completed 68 of our 75 homes to date. Close to 3,000 volunteer instances this year. Super excited about that. Recently, we had some wildfires that was impacting a lot of our family members in New Orleans East. We were able to donate over $35,000 worth of air purifiers with a partnership from iRobot to those families who were impacted. We also, super happy about this, over $1 million in economic impact. We worked with local contractors and local businesses this year, and over $1 million went to those businesses. Laura and our amazing AmeriCorps team fulfilled our 2022-2023 MSY, and we welcomed a number of new team members. And so we've had a great year here in New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana. And thank you to all of our teams here. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome, Kenneth. Thank you so much. Next up, Pamela Kidwell. Let's talk Florida.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pamela Kidwell. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida operation, and we go from Northwest Florida all the way into Southwest Florida. And we work have been working closely with the RAF team and their operation. But we have thus far completed 141 completions as it relates to SBP tracking, but we also have 8 additional completions that have been submitted. So we're at a total of 149 today that have been completed in the SHARP program. And none of those were in our metrics in the beginning because this storm happened September 22nd of 2022. So it was not really sure how we were going to plan this out. 17 Hurricane Michael homes have been completed in the OOR program and the OT program. We were also recognized. We did 2 things this year that were different. We first celebrated, not celebrated, but acknowledged Hurricane Michael's disaster from 10 years ago because we hit the 5-year mark. And SBP's team, including AmeriCorps member, participated in the calendar 5 years anniversary held at the county library. And it was really nice to have people who went through the disaster, who are still recovering some, to tell their stories, to listen to those stories of what happened during the storm and after the storm, and having conversations about our work in the area. We have also been recognized by the Florida Departments of Emergency Management for our actions in supporting the SHARP program. And I had the opportunity to go to Tallahassee and be acknowledged for what we had done. We are now currently working in 12 counties. That I added one to the 11 counties because I left out Bay County, which was the original operation. So in the state, we're working in 12 counties. And as I am not always able to say it enough, the Florida team may be small in number, but we have made a huge impact and will continue as we move forward. Thank you.
Fantastic, Pamela. Thank you so much. Next, Jomari, I would like to invite you to discuss Puerto Rico, please.
Thank you, Kyle. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jomari Gonzalez Sierra, Interim Operation Manager before Client Service Manager from Puerto Rico. Some of our highlights from this quarter. First, we have successfully completed 53 years today homes out of our goal of 58. We are confident that we will be able to complete several more projects before the end of the year. Secondly, the Mayor of Toa Baja recognized SBP Puerto Rico for its continuous contribution to the community during Hurricane Fiona's recovery. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. Third, the volunteer group Nielsen donate office equipment and furniture. Through this donation, we were able to help 2 clients and also reorganize our office. These donations were made to extremely needy clients. They are very grateful. And finally, the proposal for the opportunity housing with Toa Baja Land Bank is in process. So thank you for your attention.
Awesome, Jomari. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, I believe, Vanessa, you're going to give us a Houston update.
Yes, my name is Vanessa and I'm the warehouse manager for Houston. So 2023 has been a true test of who we are as a team here in SBP Houston. We started the year off in uncertainty with knowledge that we lacked secure funding for the end of the year into 2024. But we remained motivated and were prepared to fight against any adversity we faced. Throughout the year, we had 14 new and 4 returning AmeriCorps members. The volunteer department was able to obtain 1,364 volunteer instances and 9,872 volunteer hours. With the help of those volunteers, we have been able to serve 53 families and are on track to end the year at 61. In addition, we have had a number of personal accomplishments in Houston. Just to name a few, Leanne Ortiz, our HR and AmeriCorps program manager, will be graduating with a master's in emergency crisis management. Valeria Duart gave birth to a 9-pound 8-ounce baby boy. Madeline Sands was accepted into Ball State University and Indiana State University. Alex Spear and Caitlin Perez will be transitioning to new roles within SBP, and Aaron Bryant will be enlisting into the United States Air Force Guard in 2024. Through the donations made to the Tool Bank, Katie Responds, and other local nonprofit organizations, SBP Houston's legacy will continue to live on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Really great. I would like to invite, certainly last but not least, again, I would like to invite Andy Stofleth to talk about the Bahamas.
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle, do you care to advance the slide? All right, thank you. I'm Andy Stofleth. I am the executive director in the Bahamas, and I want to just quickly start out with a little intro to our client, Taniqua Johnson here. Taniqua has been a police officer in Grand Bahama for 16 years. She's a single mother. When Hurricane Dorian, which I would say there's a lot of parallels between Hurricane Dorian and Hurricane Katrina, in that it was a catastrophic event with massive loss of life. The Royal Bahama Police Force spent a tremendous amount of time doing search and rescue, trying to find folks who went missing or were killed during the storm. They then were patrolling neighborhoods, trying to cut down on breaking and entering, and all sorts of things. For years, Taniqua has been living in inadequate housing conditions, focused on community service and being a mother first. So we were thrilled that this year we were able to help Daniqua move back into her home, so that she can again like enjoy some of the creature comforts as she continues her career in public service. So really meaningful for us that we were able to help Daniqua among other clients. To date, we've repaired over 633 homes in the Bahamas in a little over 4 years' time. And we wouldn't have done that if we didn't have such an amazing team on the ground and amazing support back at headquarters who helped us establish this operation 4 years ago and then build momentum and build relationships on the ground that we have. For this year, we're 83 of 90 homes complete. You may have seen right before the call, Dara had sent out 2 more NTPs and we have several more queued up. We're just waiting on our government partners to review these material requests so that they can approve them, and they are having a hard time keeping up with our pace. So that's good news in some regards. And in others, we're able to continue the impact past our original sunset in November because we've built such great relationships on the ground. I would like to pause here and just say thank you to the Bahamas team. For those of us who work in the US and in kind of our home communities, it's nice because at the end of the day, you can go home or you can jump on the interstate and you can travel and visit families and friends. What I would like to take my hat off and say to Cam, Dara, and ultimately those who've served on the Bahamas team, it's challenging working abroad for years and being away from family and friends. So I appreciate the dedication while we finish these last 30 projects in this new partnership and push to create additional impact and help some families move home. It's you all who've made this happen. So I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for keeping your foot on the gas and keeping things moving.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you so much. And Bahamas team. So last but not least, I was a little ahead of myself earlier. Would like to invite Steve Doolin to talk about RAF Louisiana, please.
Thanks, Kyle. Hey, everyone. I'm Steve Doolin, the Director of Operations for the Recovery Acceleration Fund. So Liz touched on it a little earlier, but I'll just give another quick overview of how RAF works. The Department of Housing and Urban Development holds the keys to the largest pot of home repair funds available in the wake of a natural disaster. After Hurricane Ida, Louisiana was allocated more than $3 billion for community recovery. That's pretty amazing. The problem is those funds can take anywhere from 18 months to 6 years to get to eligible survivors. RAF jumpstarts that process. We find those low-income homeowners who will be eligible, facilitate short-term bridge loans, complete the home repairs, and help the survivors apply for cost reimbursement when the funds become available. Over the past year, RAF has been a small pilot with a goal of 25 projects. Louisiana's HUD-funded program closed their application window earlier than anticipated, so we had to follow suit in October while finishing up our active construction. Currently, that program still has over 6,000 survivors who have applied for the same HUD funds, but have not yet been informed whether they're even eligible for assistance. We're more than 2 years after the storm at this point. In the abbreviated time Louisiana RAF had to operate, our small but mighty team, Grace, Hannah, Sam, our recently graduated member Stella, returned 24 survivors home, preserved nearly $3.5 million in home equity, using a model that we're building to become self-sustainable. So it's with a heavy heart that we sunset Louisiana RAF, but the program's successful pilot has shined a light on a new path and provided additional capacity to the disaster recovery landscape. I keep saying Louisiana RAF for a reason. With the help of Reese, JR, Hannah, Joe, all the advised team, state and local government agencies in Florida took notice of what we accomplished in Louisiana, and have specifically pointed to nonprofit bridge loans as a resource for recovery in their plans for Hurricane Ian. And HUD, for the first time ever, as far as we know, put their federal stamp of approval on that idea. I want to pause for a second to reflect on that because it's kind of at the heart of what we do at SBP. We innovate, we push boundaries, we force the conversations that will incrementally improve the broken systems that cause so much unnecessary pain to disaster survivors. We see it, so we refuse to stay quiet. So we're expanding to Florida and we're expanding our team. Brian of Southwest Louisiana fame agreed to pack up his things in Lake Charles and take that long drive down I-10 to become our director of construction. And we've hired Varush Simmons to bring along his decade of thoughtful program design and case management experience to the role of director of case management. I want to close by saying thank you to the New Orleans operation for the support over the last year. And I want to take a moment to celebrate and express my never-ending gratitude to that small but mighty raft team, a bunch of folks who agreed to saddle up next to me and bushwhack through the unknown together. Their leadership and wholehearted dedication to taking a novel idea and turning it into a replicable program not only continues to inspire me, but more importantly, brought those 24 families home before they reached their breaking point. And now we look to Florida to continue scaling the model to bring the most vulnerable disaster impacted folks home a little quicker.
What a way to finish our updates for Build off, Steve. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Next up, I want to move to development with Elizabeth Egley and Lily Hannigan.
Hey, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Egley. I'm the Senior Director of Institutional Giving here at SBP, and Lily will say hi in a second. But before I have to share my screen, but please enjoy this music while I do so. People dream high in the quiet of the night. You know that I got it. Welcome to the development team fundraising wrapped for the year. Can you all see my screen? Yes. We were very inspired by the Spotify wrapped format, and so we wanted to kind of present that to you here. So I'm going to kick it off to Lily to give you an overview of institutional giving.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lily Hannigan, and I am on the individual giving side based in New Orleans. And so our team is responsible for raising money from individual people. Elizabeth works on corporate and foundation side. So we had a few campaigns this year. I know we talked a lot, probably over many all team calls about the SB Perimeter campaign of Jim Feeney biking around the country to raise money. And what a result. He raised $362,000. So I really want to thank everyone who was involved in making that a success. I know that was an organization-wide lift. So kudos to everyone. We had a lovely celebration for it back in, I think, September when he finished at headquarters. So I'm happy to present that result. Our mid-year preparedness campaign did the best it's ever been, raised over $800,000 thanks to our individual donors and also a few new major gifts, which is very exciting. And that is a summertime campaign. The goal is to time it before hurricane season and to get people thinking about preparedness and to really help us with responding to disasters. And currently we are working on the Home for the Holidays year-end fundraising campaign. We just hit the $500,000 milestone. The campaign's been running for about a month now, so this is very exciting. Our goal is $900,000 by the end of the month. So we are working hard to get there, and I'm feeling great. So thanks everyone for your support. And back to Elizabeth now.
Awesome. Thanks, Lily. Great work, IG team. I'll share a couple of our top hits from the corporate foundation side. As Liz mentioned, we just found out today that this Walmart Foundation funding will indeed come through for our fellows expansion across the country, as well as our advised teams leader practitioner course. When the Maui wildfires hit, Jeffries, a longtime partner of ours, committed funding for both short and long-term recovery. And our Ian recovery is ongoing, and we have some really great partners there. Volunteer Florida, Red Cross, and Center for Disaster Philanthropy. And we'll keep it going to Lily. Why don't I kick it back to you for some
highlights. I'm sorry we don't have Taylor Swift giving you a special message, but hopefully this is a close runner-up. So we had 786 new donors this year, which is very exciting. 1.6 million in major gifts, which we define as $10,000 and up. We are at $2.18 million raised this year before the end of the month. And the last fun fact I'll give you is for the SB Perimeter campaign, Jim Feeney cycled well over 10,000 miles, which is a very exciting stat. Yeah, so that's our year wrapped on the individual giving side. Elizabeth?
Nice work. And certainly new donor acquisition is a really great thing to highlight. And this is an incredible number. So thanks to all who did that work. On the corporate foundation side, we've had 11 new investors in our work and a bunch of renewed at 24. We've year to date raised $19 million through our corporate and foundation partners. And as I was running these numbers, I just thought it was an incredible fun fact that between our partners at Toyota and Farmers, collectively over time, they've invested $25 million into SBP. Oh my gosh. So if you see a Toyota or Farmers person, give them a big, big hug. And I think it is really appropriate that the program people shared their overviews before this, because none of that work, this fundraising comes in and without your incredible work in the field. You give us the stories to tell. You are out there every day doing the really impactful work of helping families. And we're just really excited to be a part of the team. And thank you for giving us this moment to wrap our year.
Fantastic, Elizabeth and Lily. Thank you so much. Loved the wrapped theme. So good. Next, I would like to ask that Brittany walks us through Salesforce and a bit of a tech update. Brittany, all yours.
Hi, all. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Brittany Amboyan. I'm lead Salesforce administrator here at SBP. So I'm just going to walk through some updates and then some things that are coming up. So far, we have closed this year over 750 support tickets with a satisfaction of 5 out of 5. Recently, we transitioned the DAP team into Salesforce. We also met with the consultancy that configured our call center to do a knowledge transfer, and then also work with them on doing some configuration to the flows for Hawaii. We also added in the Hawaii wildfires, Mississippi tornadoes, and Hurricane Idalia to Salesforce, the forms and the call center prompts. And we made revisions to the RAF Salesforce instance and forms to support the upcoming Hurricane Ian work. Coming this way, we have goal tracking, defining success, and continuing the transition from form stack to form assembly, as well as Slack with a Q1 rollout plan forthcoming. So just reviewing these, I guess, as brief as possible, but for goal tracking, we'll be working on developing goals, KPI tracking capabilities within Salesforce and ultimately migrating in the executive scorecard. And the intention is to further utilize Salesforce as our system of record and leverage this for reporting and dashboard capabilities. For defining departmental success, we're looking at this as somewhat of a phase 2 of the Salesforce implementation. We're planning on scheduling meetings with members of each department to review what's working well, what can be improved, and how each defines success utilizing Salesforce so we can provide any necessary technical support. And then on form assembly, we're continuing to make the transition from form stack to form assembly. We'll be working on recreating each form stack form. There's at least 17 and it's growing. So we'll be recreating those in form assembly in phases based on department and complexity. This move will lead to increased functionality and less errors, including issues with the forms not processing. And that's all I have.
Fantastic, Brittany. Thank you so much. Next up, and the final department update, and y'all, just to let you know, we're running a little behind, but we will get through everything. So just thanks for your patience. Elizabeth Wright and Jennifer Beaver, if you could present on comms, please.
Thank you, Kyle, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Wright. I'm the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer for SBP. I want to start by saying that I love how this all-team meeting has been so driven by SBP voices, stories, and data. Those 3 things are actually among the most essential elements of an effective communication strategy. And today I want to share updates on some deliverables that we have completed recently and some priorities that we're advancing that are part of our communication strategy. So oftentimes when comms and marketing people talk about their work, they speak in jargon and insider language, but actually what we do is fairly simple when you boil it down. SBP is a social impact organization, and we want to make a big change in the world, as Zach and Liz were framing earlier. We want to meet big needs. We have a vision and we have an impact pathway or a change agenda to make that change happen. So SBP is in the business of engineering change, and the communications team is in the business of communicating change. We do that by helping SBP connect with, inspire belief in, and mobilize the audiences whose support is most critical to our mission. So we do that by championing vision and value first and foremost, proof, stories and voices, and knowledge about our audiences, who they are, where to meet them, and what to reach them with. So we're in the business of saying the right things to the right people in the right places at the right time for the right results. And today I want to share examples of how we've been doing that. So all of these stories are about one of the platforms in a communication strategy that you must prioritize. So this is about our owned media platform. We're going to be talking about our website and our email marketing. So first, the deliverables. We've published recently 3 new stories of impact on the website. One is an overview of our program in Southwest Louisiana, which we sunsetted in early November, looking at the impact we made there, the people who made it happen, the partners who made it happen, and also featuring an interview with John O'Donnell, our ED in Southwest Louisiana. We also published a story about hurricane season, looking back at past big hurricanes to which SBP has responded, many of which you heard about through the program director updates, but also looking ahead to the hurricane season in 2023 and how SBP is getting ready. We published a focus on Houston, Hurricane Harvey, 6 years on, again, looking at the impact of that disaster, how SBP rose to the challenge and what we achieved. More of these stories are to come. We aim to publish one either tomorrow or early next week, profiling one of our fellows, Matthew Wheeler, in Lake Charles and what he was able to help make happen in that community. In other news, just wanted to welcome Declan Rouse. He's SBP's new Marketing and Communications Associate to the team, and let you know that we're also recruiting a new Director of Communications who will be helping strengthen our capacity in media relations, brand positioning, and storytelling. Last but not least, I really want to highlight the fact that we're prioritizing our owned media platform and our communication strategy because it is the platform over which you have the most control. And it is the platform through which you can really own the connection with your target audiences. So we're capitalizing on SBP's owned media in the foreseeable future. We want to make it fit for purpose. And I'm talking specifically about our website. We want to focus on enhancing our website and our email marketing. Both of those are among the most critical communications channels and fundraising gateways for any nonprofit brand. They're your calling card, they're your storefront. As such, we're in the process of migrating our current website to a state-of-the-art backend system. And we're also in the process of launching a new SBP mass marketing e-newsletter. What we hope to achieve by doing these things is boost our engagement with our audiences, fuel the growth of our audience, strengthen brand awareness, and capture valuable first-party audience data through both of those means. And I am now going to invite my colleague Jen to give you a bit more information on the web project.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I will be very brief since I know we are behind in time, but I just wanted to give a little bit of a background. And, as Elizabeth just said, that, owned media is going to be our top key strategic priority next year, that, I think having first in class digital is really important to achieve that goal. And so we are in the process of migrating our current website from Craft CMS to WordPress. WordPress is the, I guess, gold standard in digital marketing and as a digital medium for your website. Just a couple things I wanted to highlight: that the migration of the site to WordPress will really overcome a lot of our current digital limitations. A lot of that happens in capture of audience data, capture of audience engagement on our websites, which generally just help us develop better content and a better understanding of how individuals want to receive information and what information they gravitate towards. This will also help reduce our dependence on external web developers and programmers. I know y'all don't see the back end of the system, but there are many hands that have drawn in the back of Craft CMS. And I think WordPress will just allow us to make updates seamlessly and easily and keep them within our team, which also reduces cost. And then last but not least, it gives us the tools to enhance our site performance. So better load times, better digital journeys, a better brand experience, especially for individuals who our website is their first introduction to SBP, and hopefully to facilitate better engagement. And one last point that I really want to make is this migration is the first step in a multi-phase project to enhance our digital. The first step is to move the software, the back-end systems, to make sure we have first-in-class technology. And then the next phases of our systems will be to look at our brand voice, brand visual effects, and to enhance our overall engagement opportunities as well as conversion opportunities with new individuals and repeat donors. And that's it.
Fantastic, Jen. Thank you so much. Elizabeth, thank you so much. Next up, I want to invite Andrea Levine and a special guest to talk about our SBP Ambassador Program.
Thanks so much, Kyle. Hi, everyone. I am Andrea Levine, Recruitment Specialist for SBP's AmeriCorps program. This past spring, the AmeriCorps National Recruitment Team launched the SBP Ambassador Program to engage SBP supporters, especially college students, in helping us with outreach. While our focus is on AmeriCorps outreach, we also prepare ambassadors to speak about volunteer opportunities, fundraising, and disaster preparedness, and I am excited to share about our progress. Ambassadors join us for 4 or more months and help connect SBP to groups and college classrooms. They post on social media, assist at tabling events, and more. SBP provides resources such as flyers, presentations, and email templates to support them, as well as meeting with SBP staff members and scheduling all ambassador team meetings. 9 ambassadors signed up this year, which exceeded our 2023 enrollment goal by 150%. Our ambassadors joined us from all over the country, as indicated by the little stars on the map on your screen. They included 2 former volunteers, 2 former team members, 5 college graduates or recent graduates. They reached out to a total of 28 organizations, resulting in 20 new volunteers and 5 presentations focused on AmeriCorps opportunities or disaster preparedness. 3 of those presentations have had over 50 attendees in total, and our last 2 presentations are scheduled for early 2024. I want to thank Tessa and the whole Prepare team for their support. 2 of our ambassadors worked closely with them. One of them created a flyer on disaster preparedness for college students, and the other is joining us here today. I am excited to introduce Elaine Arroyo, one of our ambassadors who volunteered with us from September through this month. She is joining to share about her experience as an SBP ambassador. Take it away, Elaine.
Thank you, Andrea, for the introduction. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. So I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area in California, and I'm a recent graduate from UC Davis, but I'm taking their public health graduate certificate program. And I heard about the SBP Ambassador Program at an SBP recruiting event in my 4th year of undergrad. I thought that opportunity was a good fit for me because I already got previous ambassador experience, and I wanted to get involved in emergency preparedness. Next slide, please. Here are my goals I set up as an SBP ambassador. I wanted to, number 1, create a social media series about emergency preparedness. Number 2, email organizations about collaborating with SBP. And number 3, set up a few information sessions. 3 months ago, I created a page called Life in Public Health. My page is active on Instagram and LinkedIn. I shared 7 out of the 8 posts I brainstormed about emergency preparedness, and I will share my last post in 2 weeks. On the left is a preview of my first infographic, and on the right is a graph of my Instagram post impressions. I've been getting 104 impressions on average for my fairly new account that has 160 followers so far. Next slide, please. And for my email outreach, I started reaching out to organizations in October, and at the end, I sent 20 emails total. As you can see on the left, I got 8 responses overall. 3 were interested, but they couldn't commit to a collaboration. 2 were also interested, but I lost contact with them after some time. And 3 different recipients, I set up a collaboration meeting with them. And the 3 groups I secured collaborations with are listed on the right, and we learned a lot about their insights, considering their previous situations with severe weather and their threats. And I just wanted to share a few more quick updates about the presentations we scheduled. The UC Davis Shared Club had their presentation last week on November 28th about physical and mental health during emergency preparedness situations. The UC Davis Department of Human Ecology will have their presentation next month for disaster preparedness opportunities. And lastly, the Davis Human Relations Commission plans to have their presentation between January and April as part of their own workshop series. And then being an SBP ambassador is a rewarding experience filled with growth and meaningful connections. I learned about practical knowledge about emergency preparedness that will help various groups. I also noticed similar things in emergencies across the US and how useful it is to learn about different natural disasters because similar situations can happen to any of us at any time. And then lastly, this whole experience motivated me to expand my skill set in emergency preparedness and management throughout my whole career. So that's my progress on being an SBP ambassador. And I thank everyone in SBP for helping me with this progress. And thank you everyone for listening to my presentation.
Awesome. Elaine, thank you so much. On behalf of everyone on this call, we just want to give you a heartfelt thank you for the work that you've done for SBP. It means so much to us and our mission and our clients. I know that we're a little rushed in the end of this presentation, but thank you deeply for everything that you've done and for letting us know about it. This is really cool, and just want to say, again, thank you so much. All right, so next, and I think we might be like maybe 5 minutes over what we thought, so it shouldn't be too much longer, but appreciate everybody sticking around. Courtney, I would like to invite you to introduce us to new staff members, and then we'll have, I believe, Andrea do new AmeriCorps members. So Courtney, all yours.
Thank you. And thanks, Elaine. That was super cool. That was super cool. So I am going to let our new staff members introduce themselves. As always, we have a fun question for them to answer while they're introducing themselves. And with Christmas right around the corner, I thought of this question that they're going to answer for us. So they are left home alone, right? And bandits are trying to break into their house. So they need to tell us how they're going to booby trap their houses. Dorma, why don't you kick it off for us, please?
Oh, Dorma, you're on mute.
You knew it.
Hello, I am Dorma Morshan Morgan. I am the SBP's community property manager, and I am in New Orleans. And I thought about this all week. So I'm going to say if I was home alone and someone was some bandits were trying to get in my home, I would first put baby oil on the floor. And also I would take some type of substance that when they touch the knob or they touch the windows, they will burn their hands.
Thank you, Dorma. Ethan, on you.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Ethan May Aguilar. I'm the experienced accountant located in New Orleans, and I've also been trying to think about a booby trap. It's not as good as Dorma's. I would probably just put sticky glue on the floor and hope that would just work and I would be safe. So that's what I got.
I'm Tiffany Osborne. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships, and I would just have to lure them out to my balcony because unless you know exactly how to open the door by like, turning it exactly 87 degrees and pulling in and then pushing out, you're never getting back into my apartment. So I would just put like baked goods on my balcony and trap them there.
Hi, I'm Simmons, the Director of Base Management for the Florida RAF. I think for this one, I would just blend. I have 2 young kids, and we've been watching Home Alone at least once a day. So it would be a blend between oil and glitter, and I'm also from Trinidad, so curry and pepper sauce, and just like mix a like nice paste, and that's the best I could do.
Hello, so my name is Kevin. I'm from Hawaii. I'm on the island of Maui. I'm with the DAP team, and I'm helping with the survivors here from the Hawaii fires. As far as someone breaking into my home, I'm not too sure about booby traps, but it'll probably end up like a scene from Saw. And yeah, it's probably be really bad. Okay, popcorn over to whoever's next.
Hey everyone, my name's Declan. You can call me Deck if it's easier. I'm joining Jen and Elizabeth on the digital marketing and communications team. I'm based here in Houston, and to booby trap my house, I have a friend who works at the Houston Zoo, so I think I would try and borrow like a bear for the day or something.
Hey y'all, I'm Katie. I am the volunteer manager here in New Orleans. I decided that I would protect my home by playing my musical theater playlist very loudly. In my experience, people tend to run from that.
Hi, I'm Jill Van Zant. I'm in Panama City, Florida. I'm program administrator here in Florida. And I think what I would have to do is just have feathers and laser beams and things like that that would turn on when somebody tried to come in, and just let my cat have at them.
Love it. This has to be one of my favorite icebreaker, new staff icebreakers. Thank y'all for putting so much thought into how you would booby trap your home. Welcome to SBP. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you. Andrea, I would like to invite you to run us through our new AmeriCorps members.
Yes, happy to. I am excited to recognize the AmeriCorps members who have started a term of service with us this fall. So we're going to start in Puerto Rico. Sharon Garcia Hughes, Angel Gonzalez, and Nathaniel Galarza, and Raquel Rios have all started a 3rd term. So extra round of applause to our triple returning members in Puerto Rico. In New Orleans, we have David Sneed, Sloan Smith, Josie Messner, Ambar Velez, Adasha Valerie. Also in New Orleans, but on our DAF team, we have Sabria Aaron and Sarenthia Joseph. And finally, in Houston, we have another couple returning members, Bella Gill and Morris Broussard. And also in Houston, on our DAP team, Shadek Shaban. Welcome to all of our new members.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andrea. Welcome all you fantastic AmeriCorps members. Yay. Welcome to SBP. All right, so some HR updates, and then we're pretty much through. So thank you again for sticking around. I think the 5 to 6 minute overage is probably about accurate. Wanted to forecast for everybody some upcoming holidays. Christmas Day, December 26th, day after Christmas, winter holiday, the 26th, and New Year's Day observed, January 1st, 2024. Those are all, those 3 holidays everyone has off. So SBP will be closed those days. Puerto Rico, y'all have January 5th, King's Day observed. We have a lot of observed holidays at the end and starting of the new year. So y'all will have those days off. For everybody's awareness, all sites, which we can, well, I'm sorry, all holidays are kind of broken out, and everybody in Puerto Rico, in Louisiana, and then everybody everywhere else has the same number of holidays or days off. So because Puerto Rico does have King's Day off, there's some other holidays in there for Louisiana specifically, and for the rest of the team that they have off as well. So just to let everybody know. All right, so some HR updates. As y'all are aware, MLK Day is a National Day of Service on January 15th. It's a National Day of Service for AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps programs across the country participate in meaningful service events and reflections tied to Dr. King's message of the beloved community. At SBP, we've done something every year with our staff and our AmeriCorps members, and that will be the same this year. There's a volunteer planning committee that has been assembled for SBP, and we are actively creating programming for this really awesome day. So just wanted to forecast that. Stay tuned for more information. Second is we have launched the Florida RAF program. I know Steve spoke about that, and Pamela, want to really shout out again the Florida RAF, all of our RAF programs, but RAF in Florida is brand new. We're building up the team and it's going to be really impactful. So also stay tuned for more information on Florida RAF. This next part is for staff only, but AmeriCorps members, you're welcome to listen. We have revised our vacation policy for staff, and I know I sent out a note, but I just wanted to articulate what that actually means for everybody who are staff. So no longer is there a rollover limit into the new year for vacation hours. We also are imposing a 10-year piece to that. So for every full year that a staff member has worked for SBP, you'll receive 4 hours in addition to your current PTO policy. So what does that really mean? I guess the biggest difference is we've eliminated that rollover limit. So in the past, you could only roll over 40 hours into the new year. There will no longer be a rollover limit. So you can actually roll over all of the vacation hours that you've accrued into the next year. The cool thing is that starts this year. So even though the policy technically goes into effect on January 1st, for staff, all the vacation that you've accrued, if you don't use it by the end of the year, you're not going to lose it. So everything will be rolled over into the new year. There is, however, a cap on the accrual. So you'll have a maximum accrual cap. And I wanted to give you all an example. So let's say a team member has a 10-day vacation policy and they've been with SBP for 4 years. So 10 days, we multiply that by eight hours workday. So that's 80 hours. Their accrual cap at that point would be 80 hours. But when you factor in the 4 years, that's an additional 4 hours for every year. So 16 total hours or 2 full days. That accrual cap would jump from 80 hours accrual cap to 96 hours. So I'm hoping that helps explain a little bit more than the email or the note that I sent out about the new vacation policy. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. But wanted to really make sure that everybody knew, we don't, going into 2024, you do not have a rollover limit. So you will not lose hours that you've accrued. The next thing that I wanted to let y'all know about is for staff, you might have heard that we brought in a consultant for HR to do essentially like an HR audit, really to assess the HR function at SBP as we continue to grow into our 5-year plan. The consultant, her name's Lori. She's been fantastic. She had a chance to speak with a huge cross-section across SBP, and I wanted to take a moment to personally thank everyone who interviewed with her, who spoke to her, and celebrate your constructive discontent. That's a value that we cherish at SBP, and we got a lot of really helpful, important feedback. I have no doubt that the improvements that Lori and SBP work through, that they're going to be really impactful, monumental. Oops, I'm sorry, I just skipped ahead. They're going to be monumental in our continuous growth and improvement. So we're currently reviewing that feedback and the themes, examining opportunities for growth. And I just want to let y'all know that we'll be in touch for the staff team to give you more detailed summary or update in the new year. Next is phishing. So staff members, you probably saw a couple emails that went out yesterday that were suspicious. They were phishing. I sent out a note, and please make sure to look at that note. It was a test. No one's in trouble. It was a test to see who interacts with phishing emails across SBP. We're going to continue these into the new year, but it's just a reminder to make sure that you're flagging suspicious emails. As a reminder for this team, no one at SBP will ever ask you for personal information through email. We'll never ask you to do a quick favor for me. That's one thing that the scam like texts and emails always say, like, hey, can you go buy gift cards from Walgreens? We will never ask anyone to do that. So just please be vigilant. There's a lot more detail in the email that I sent to staff about phishing. We had a really great response from people. Tons of SBP team members emailed me, Kristen, Joe, a number of people to flag that these were suspicious emails. So great work. And then last but not least, I wanted to forecast a little bit of IT work that I'm doing with a consultant. His name is Joe Rousseau. He's on this call, and in just a moment, he's going to give a quick update on where we're at with our IT projects. But I've been working with Joe and some of our team members on streamlining our systems and processes. And ultimately, the goal is to make things easier for everyone in our teams at SBP. Some of y'all might have met Joe already, but he is the consultant that's assisting us on a lot of these projects. I want to take a moment just to thank y'all for your flexibility. If you've worked with anything IT project related over the coming weeks and months, you're going to see some great new processes put into place that we're focused on, like cybersecurity, streamlining processes, reducing administrative work or burdens, and improving how we store data. So I know we're almost 10 minutes over. Joe has about 5 minutes, and then we will wrap up. And I thank you all again for your patience in sticking around. So Joe, I would like to invite you to give us an update, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate everybody who's been able to work with me so far. Brittany, Kristen, Jen, obviously Kyle, a couple other folks. We've made some really good progress, but a little bit about me. I've spent 6 years as a nonprofit CEO. I'm also coming more from the startup realm of working with a technology startup. I drink a lot of coffee, I'm a baseball, soccer fan, and have a good amount of Chipotle. So a little bit about my icebreakers there. But let's go forward here, and I'll talk about the 4 things that I'm currently working on for SBP. The first of which is we are in process, bowl guy, Chipotle. I am currently in the process of deprecating the Equip mobile app. This is actually some good bit here that we're looking at, actually taking the content that is in that app and turning it into a mobile responsive website, potentially. All that currently exists on sbbprotects.org. We are also organizing, streamlining the Google Workspace. This is probably where you see some of my work already. That we'll go into a little bit more in a minute. Google Drive, we are going to be instituting shared drives. You also probably saw some of that happening this week. Enhancing digital security, that's going to be the next slide, Kyle, if you can go to that. So this is currently how we handle security for all different software. You have department leads, the people team, everybody saying, hey, we're going to add individual things to Okta. And we have a lot of real one-off cybersecurity bits that go into every different application. When I went into the system first, there were over 100 applications that people are using throughout SBP. It's massive, and that's a lot of headache, and there's a lot of things that fall within the cracks. So our ideal state that we're going towards for the next slide is everything is going to be housed in Google. Okta will be going away, and we're going to be moving towards security just with Google. All of those applications will exist in that top right applications bin that you have for Google, where your calendar is, where your groups are, and we're going to automatically provision access to those different tools by groups. So by comms or finance, by organization-wide if we need to. So all that will happen automatically. This is less button presses for department leads, for Kyle's team, and everybody around the organization. And more than that, it's going to make sure that we're maintaining data, we're maintaining security appropriately moving forward, and that little things that can fall through the cracks won't have that. My job is to help streamline things and make everyone's lives easier. Next slide. And a quick start-stop. We're going to start asking you guys to using shared drives. most of the departments currently have shared drives. We set most of them up this week. We're not going to be mandating anything anytime soon. We just want to encourage that right now. So instead of using personal files, say in Joe's inbox that then I share with Kyle, we want to use shared drives because those are also existent beyond ourselves, beyond an individual, beyond people, and they live with the organization as a whole. The next is we're working towards shutting down as many shared inboxes as possible. Now, we know so many of you guys are using them now on your daily work. That's totally fine. We're trying to hit the low-hanging fruit. We're going to be switching to Google Groups to handle communications with that. Next, we're actually going to be implementing a shared email signature organization-wide. We're going to be collaborating with Jen Beaver and her team on that. So anytime you guys have gotten an email to say, hey, change this for a different season, now all that's going to be handled organizationally. So just little things, as you can see, that we're moving in the right direction to get more organized, to get more consistent, and to streamline little things. So thank you very much to Kyle and team for everybody who we've worked with. I think, is there one more slide? Or is that the last one? Okay, that was the last one. But if you need anything, I'm on chat, I'm on email. If you have any ideas for how we can be using these systems better, please reach out to me. I'm coming in here, obviously, a little outside looking in, so I don't know as much, but I do have kind of a fresh perspective that I'm trying to bring through everything. So hopefully every little bit that I do and touch makes things better, and we can continue moving this organization forward. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Y'all, we are 14 minutes over schedule. We did have the shout outs section, which we all love. I'm actually going to be respectful of your time, I'm going to take that offline, and I'm going to kick us off for shout outs with an email chain for the entire organization. So I would encourage you, at the end of the year, especially looking back, please use that time or that space, that email thread, to shout out team members that you feel like have done an awesome job, have really lived the SBP values, and people that you want to celebrate and recognize. So let's use that thread. With that being said, thank you all for such a great all-team meeting today. It was awesome. This was a lot. I know we were a little rushed, but tons of great information. I hope you all have a safe and happy holiday, and let me know if you need anything. Have a great rest of your day, team.
Thanks, Kyle.